2 weeks. That's how long I had to prepare for my first ever conference talk. I'd never spoken at that level before. No coach, no framework, no idea what I was doing. What I had was a story, a half-written script, and a lot of practice runs in my bedroom late at night. This is the exact process. What I did, what worked, what I would have avoided, and the one conversation that changed how I think about presenting altogether. By the end of this video, you would have a clear and repeatable process for building and delivering a talk from scratch. Even if you have never done it before, even if you're still in university, and even if the slot feels too big for where you are right now. Because here's the thing. The feeling that it's too big, that's not the sign to stop. That's just how the first time feels like. Let me show you what to do with it. Let me begin with how even this happened, because I believe the how matters just as much as the what. I'm part of a program. It's what kept me in rooms where opportunities like this get shared. Through that network, I saw a student speaker slot come up for a cybersecurity conference on LinkedIn last minute. I almost kept on scrolling, but I applied and I got it. That's the thing about opportunities at our level. They're not announced loudly. They appear in the communities that you're already a part of. The investments you make in the right programs, the right LinkedIn connections, the right rooms. That's not abstract advice. That's how this opportunity arrived. The lesson I took from that, be in the rooms, even when nothing is happening yet, especially then. So I had the slot. Now I had to build the thing. I started with one question. What do I actually know and what does the audience need to hear? The conference was cybersecurity focused. I was a CS student who had just gone through auditing my own app after my friend got hacked. The experience was real, recent, and relevant. That became the talk. Step 1. Flush out everything you know. I wrote down everything I knew connected to the topic. The social engineering attack on my friend, the OAPS audit I ran on my own code, the specific vulnerabilities I found, what I changed. Then I looked at what connected it all. The thread was simple. Security isn't theoretical, it's personal, and it starts with your own code. That's the talk. That's the angle. Step 2. Write the full script. I know some speakers work from bullet points. I wrote a full script first. Not because I was going to read it word for word, but because writing it out forced me to think through every transition, every so what, and every moment where I might lose the room. Writing out the script is how I found out where my arguments were weak. If I couldn't write the sentence, then I couldn't understand the points yet. Step 3. Build the slides after the script, not before. This one's important. Most people build the slides first and then talk around them. That means your slides are driving your ideas. I wanted my ideas to drive the slides. The slides became a visual anchor for what I was already going to say, not a script printed on a projector. That's a different thing entirely. Step 4. Practice out loud. Actually out loud. There's a version of practice that's just reading your notes silently to yourself. That doesn't count. Your mouth and your brain behave differently when you're speaking. You find the lines that are too long, the transitions that don't land, the moments where you run out of air mid-sentence. I did multiple full runs in my room, out loud, timed, phone propped up against the desk, recording so I could watch it back. Painful to watch, but essential to do. About 2 days before the talk, I got on a call with someone who had spoken before, more experienced than me. That conversation changed things, not because they tore apart my content, My talk was already solid, but because they helped me to see things that I hadn't thought about consciously. The relationship between the speaker and the room isn't fixed, it moves. You walk in with a version of the talk, but the audience tells you in real time whether that version is the right one. Are they leaning in? Are they using their phones? Did that concept land? Or did you just watch it go over people's heads? A senior lecturer at the conference said the same thing differently. Understand who is in the room and calibrate. My talk was deliberately high level, introducing people to practical security steps, resilience thinking. That was right for that room, which was a mix of students and professionals. But if the room had been all senior engineers, the talk would have needed to go much deeper. Specific tools, static and dynamic analysis, the actual code I changed and why. Same story, different depth. Know your room. The problem was I got that advice 2 days out. I didn't have 2 versions of the talk ready. I couldn't fully act on it. I'll come back to that. On the day, there was a moment where I lost my train of thought. I had my script, but I couldn't find my place in it. Here's what I did. I stopped trying to find my place. I used the slide I was on as an anchor and just said what I knew. And honestly, that might have been some of my better delivery in the whole talk because it was natural. It wasn't recited. This is the thing I'll tell you about scripting. Write the full script. Know it well enough that you can abandon it. The script is a safety net, not a tightrope. My voice was shaky in places. I could hear it. I knew it. But I'd made a decision early in preparation. I was going to move, use my hands, engage physically with the space, and not just stand at one position, reading the slides like most people do. And the feedback that I got afterward was that it showed. The gestures, the movements, the presence, it reads as confidence to your audience, even when you don't feel confident internally. Fake the physicality, the internal state catches up. Here are 3 things that I would have done differently. 1. Practice in front of a person earlier, not just out loud in my room, but in front of someone who can tell me where they stopped paying attention. I left that call with the experienced speaker too late. 2 days out. Next time, that happens in week 1. 2. Prepare 2 versions of the talk. A high-level version and a technical deep dive. So if I walk into the room and read the audience differently than I'd expected, I could easily switch my talks to the most fitted version. The senior lecturer's advice was pointing directly at this. I just did not have what it took to act on it in that moment. Number 3, build the habits earlier. I avoided public speaking for a long time. I told myself that I'll get to it later. I didn't. Every year I waited was a year of compounding that I did not get. The discomfort doesn't disappear with preparation. It becomes manageable. And the only way to reach manageable is reps. Start earlier than feels necessary. Apply even when the slot feels too big. If you take one thing from this, the speaking slots came as a result of being in the right program, on LinkedIn, at the right moment, and being willing to apply even when it felt too big. It would always feel too big before you do it. That's not a sign to stop. That's just how the first time feels like. One specific thing that you can do today. Write down one experience from the last 6 months that was real, specific, and something that you learned from. That's the starting point of a talk. You don't need to pitch it anywhere yet. You just need to write it down. The idea has to exist before the opportunity can find it. Next week, I'm going back into the code. I'm adding an AI feature to Intern Track Pro, and I'm documenting the whole process, the plan, the API calls, what breaks, and what actually ends up live. The build series starts next week. Subscribe if you want to follow it from the beginning. And if this video helped, share it with someone who keeps talking themselves out of opportunities. They need to see it more than you do.